what the next debate. Up next, it is indeed Benjamin, and we're going to hear what the wokest person in Britain has to say for himself.
Well, we're talking about the curious case of Liz Truss. Now, if you were on holiday in the autumn of 2022, let me just tell you that she was Prime Minister for a few days. She'd always been a strong supporter of internships. I just didn't think that we'd have an internship for the office of Prime Minister. But good for you, Liz. I hate when people mock her for that. But now she's gone from being a Commons clown to being a dangerous conspiracy theorist. The other day, she was speaking at a very right-wing conference in the US where she claimed that we have a deep state controlling Britain and an elite that is not letting the people be heard. This is conspiratorial stuff. She then sat next to Steve Bannon, the guy that masterminded Trump. And while he sat there and praised Tommy Robinson, the convict Tommy Robinson, who many would call an outright racist, he's called Tommy Robinson a hero. And Liz Truss, our former Prime Minister, nodded along. And then, to make it even worse, she said that we should have Donald Trump back as US president, something that 2 UK ambassadors to the US have said would be incredibly dangerous for the West, something Liz Truss claims to care about. So look, I get that, the only thing you're known for is crashing the economy and barely being able to get through a 3-minute local radio interview. You probably would want to be known for something other than that. But I don't think being a wacko conspiracy theorist is it. So here's my pitch. If we've got a second Prime Minister watching the show tonight, in Rishi Sunak, I say to you, Rishi, it's time to remove the whip from Liz Truss and show your leadership. Now, we've actually got the head of the Liz Truss Fan Society with us on the programme tonight. Ben Leo, thanks for joining me. What do you think? Do you think that she's undermining Britain?
How is she undermining Britain?
With this conspiratorial stuff.
Why is saying the deep state conspiratorial? And over here, we just call them quangos, the civil service, Whitehall being obstructive. That's what the deep state means.
I don't think it is. She's trying to say that there are illicit people out there controlling the country that aren't doing what the people want.
There are. Nadine Dorris wrote about it in her book, The Plot. She was a former Conservative. Was she still an MP? No, No. Nadine Dorris wrote about it in her book.
She's not a peer either.
No, of course not. But to say the deep state is it's not conspiratorial. It's just talking about...
She was talking about the Financial Times and The Economist being part of some deep state which was against her free market agenda.
The Financial Times is some globalist publication linked to the IMF, linked to the World Bank.
Liz Truss is a globalist. You do know that. She's an internationalist classical liberal. She's a fan of Adam Smith, Milton Friedman and Hayek.
I've had this discussion with you on Twitter before. Globalist does not mean open markets trading around the world.
Sorry, what does globalist mean if not free markets and free trade?
Mass migration, open borders, pushing agendas such as the trans agenda and gender ideology.
Read a politics book. That is not what globalist
means. Net zero, the green agenda.
You need to read a politics book. That is not what globalist means. And also, Liz Truss is a hypocrite. She was rubbish at her job at Prime Minister. Now she's looking for any excuse.
You can't judge her on her performance as Prime Minister.
To come up with as to why she was such a failure, instead of just taking the bullet like Kwasi Kwarteng and saying, look, we made some mistakes, forgive me, now I'm going to stand down from Parliament. That's what Liz
should do. She should lose the whip, right?
Look, I think the Prime Minister has a difficult decision to make when it comes to Liz Truss. She's just causing problems for the Prime Minister week after week after week. Quite frankly,
Liz Truss, if she was given a chance, would have been the best Prime Minister to save your party, and that's why you're in the problem you're in, Albie. Your party is about to get obliterated because the powers that be in that party took her down. Now you're stuck with Rishi Sunak and a party full of Lib Dems in disguise and members.
Liz Truss was a Lib Dem, you do know that.
Yeah, but now she's a proper Conservative. She saw the light.
She was a student.
Belinda, even Reform UK has said that it doesn't want Tommy Robinson in its ranks, and yet there's a former Tory PM nodding along to him being called a hero. Does it not make you uncomfortable?
I think you're being too harsh. I've certainly been in interviews when things have been said and my mind has been elsewhere because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next and I haven't necessarily taken in how to respond to something. She didn't agree. You're just saying you interpreted her response as a nodding along. What I would say is Liz Truss has lifted the lid on forces at work in Parliament that are not elected, that are not democratic, that have been hindering policies being being driven through. I felt it very much during the Brexit years. There were absolutely civil service at work trying to overturn a democratic vote. They should have no power to do so. And Liz said, and this is one of the quotes I totally agree with, she said, as PM, she discovered that role as Prime Minister, it didn't let you hold any of the levers. The levers were held by the Bank of England, the OBR, not held by the PM, not held by the Chancellor. This is important, very, very scary stuff, because if you're electing a party, if you have a Chancellor and PM that have no control over the economics of your country,
Benjamin,
what's the point in voting at the ballot box?
Sorry to interrupt you, Belinda. We even had the World Bank a few weeks ago saying that the Tories, this government of the United Kingdom, shouldn't raise taxes because it wouldn't be good for growth. Who are these people?
Who runs the country?
For the record, that's exactly what Margaret Thatcher said when she came to power.
OK.
And look, she sits there saying the wokerati and communists are controlling the country. I'm sorry, how many communists are in the Bank of England and in FTSE 100 CEOs?
Probably more than you think.
Well, there are a lot in schools and universities.
All right.
And politician.
Dare I say, let's not forget that Sue Gray, who was responsible for that Partygate report that undid Boris Johnson's premiership, now leading the Labour Party and directing everything there. So what does that tell us?
Prime example.
Still.